Do you ever get a bad feeling that one of these days OSHA's gonna come on site and they're gonna cite you for a dozen different things that you've never even heard about before?
That's one of my biggest fears.
It's a common fear amongst most of my clients.
Oh good, then it's not just me.
True, there are hundreds of pages of OSHA code, and most business owners don't have the time to sift through them.
You got that right.
But that's where people like me come in to help.
You can do that?
Hi, I'm Rachel Walla with Ally Safety. I help businesses achieve world-class safety performance and compliance with OSHA.
I need your help.
In this video, we're going to talk about the 10 most common OSHA citations of 2019 and what you can do to prevent them in your own workplace.
Show me.
So without further ado, let's jump right into it. I rarely run into an employer whose worst nightmare isn't an employee who gets seriously injured on the job site.
It's literally my worst nightmare.
We all want to do the right thing when it comes to workplace safety.
Of course.
Unfortunately, when it comes to meeting OSHA standards, that's not always as easy as we would like it to be.
I couldn't agree more.
On top of that, the increasing costs of OSHA penalties has put more stress on business owners. So today, a serious violation can cost as much as $13,000, while a willful violation can cost 10 times that much.
Yikes. Yeah, exactly, right?
So you can see, as an employer, there are lots of reasons why you want to stay out of trouble with OSHA. Coming in at number 10, we have eye and face protection violations. Types of things inspectors were citing companies on were employees who were supposed to be protected from things like flying parts, liquid chemicals, and radiant energy, which in this case means employees who weren't adequately shielded from welding. Surprisingly enough, the companies that were most cited for this one were roofers, framers, masonry companies, and siding contractors. Number 9, we have machines and machine guarding. The issues in this section were focused around poorly guarded points of operation, equipment that isn't anchored properly, and fan blades that weren't guarded. The most cited locations were machine shops and metal shops. Next up is fall protection training requirements in the construction industry. Now, this one makes the list pretty much every year. Remember, OSHA requires that employers provide training programs for procedures, use, and maintenance of fall protection systems. Also, don't fall into the same mistake as a lot of other companies did and do the training but forget to document it adequately. Remember, in safety, if you don't document it, it didn't happen. Next up, with 2,093 violations, is the Powered Industrial Truck Standard, also known as the Forklift Standard. For this standard, the main issues were trucks not being operated in a safe manner, operators who didn't go through the reevaluation process every 3 years, no certificates of training on file, and, last but not least, trucks in unsafe condition. Coming in 6th place with 2,345 violations was ladders under the construction standard. The problems OSHA found most were ladders that didn't extend 3 feet above the landing, employees using the wrong type of ladder, employees on the top step, and ladders that had structural defects. And come on guys, we all know you can't be on the top step. All right, we made it to number 5. With 2,450 violations are respiratory protection issues. What tended to catch companies off guard was the need to have medical evaluations for employees before they use respirators. Now, this isn't a new standard, but it is an extra step that some companies forget. Other problems were the lack of a written respiratory protection program and not fit testing employees to make sure their respirators were providing a good fit. In 4th place, with 2,606 violations, we have the Control of Hazardous Energy Standard. Now, some of you may be more familiar with that under another name, which is the Lockout-Tagout Standard. The majority of these violations were based on employers failing to have the proper procedures to control hazardous energy, employees who weren't trained, devices that weren't affixed, or not meeting the requirements for periodic evaluations of the program. Now for this one, the most cited facilities were those in manufacturing and sawmills. In third place, with 2,813 violations, is scaffolding, the general industry requirement. Where companies went wrong the most often was in using cross braces as scaffold access, not fully planking, no, not that type of planking, scaffolds not on firm foundations, and missing guardrails. In second place, with 3,671 violations, is the hazard communication standard. If you'll remember, the hazard communication standard is the one that requires us to keep a chemical inventory on site. The most common problems here were a lack of safety data sheets, or SDSs, and no worker training records. Coming in first place with 6,100 violations is fall protection in the construction industry. Now, for those of you who have seen this list before, this is no surprise. This one has topped the list now for 9 years in a row. Falls in the construction industry are still the #1 cause of fatalities. What's included with this standard are issues like fall protection on sloped roofs, employees not being protected from falling through skylights, and anywhere else that work at heights is done. Among those most cited were roofing contractors, masonry contractors, and commercial home builders. Now, if you're kind of wondering what the top violations are likely to be in 2020, the past is actually a pretty good indicator of the future. I looked at the last 3 years of the top 10 OSHA violations, and not much has changed over time.
That's good to know.
Now, how exactly do we use this information to our advantage?
So, if you want to avoid the biggest OSHA citations, take the list we covered today and implement it in some of your improvement plans for the new year.
Hey, that's just crazy enough to work.
Until next time, I'll see you guys later.